My name is Bajani Sahoa. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, the co-founder of Levels App, and today I am your Meet the Mentor host. Now, we know a lot about the law profession. Suits, Law and Order, All Rise, How to Get Away with Murder, Damages. These are all TV shows, movies, characters on TV shows, etc., that have dedicated themselves to a glamorized professional world. This is what the law profession is about. They all paint a very interesting picture about a provocative career path. But how much do we actually know about the law, other than what we see and hear on television? What's the difference between pupillage and articles? What's the difference between junior and senior counsel? And more importantly, what is our level of awareness about the law on a daily basis? What are the legal implications of our actions on social media? Today, we have two incredible professionals who will share their insights on what it takes to be a successful lawyer and to build an incredible career in the profession. Attorney Refilwe Ross and advocate Aurelia Nxumalo. Ladies, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, let's just unmute.
Thank you so much.
Can
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much for joining us, Advocate Aurelia, and thank you very much, Refilwe Ross, for joining us as well. And thank you for taking the time.
Having us.
And thank you for taking the time to engage our community of Levels App participants, teachers, educators, principals, students, university learners, and people that are just generally interested in developing themselves as careers. Awesome, right. So I'll just do a quick intro of each person's bio. So I'll read your bio and introduce everyone to you and your work, and then we'll go right into it.
All right.
Awesome, great. Okay, so starting with Advocate Aurelia. Advocate Aurelia Nxumalo is an admitted advocate of the High Court of South Africa. Okay, we'll have to mute that. She is currently the lead of legal at the Youth Economic Alliance, which is a non-profit company established to drive development and advancement of youth entrepreneurship. She is a skilled in-house legal counsel. She also wears many hats. She's a budding social entrepreneur. She's a co-founder of The Professionista, the co-founder of The Learned Friend, and a Play Your Part ambassador, a campaign driven by Brand South Africa. As an advocate for professional and personal development, Aurelia believes in passing the baton in order to impart what we know. The work that she does in relation to The Professionista empowers other young women who in turn empower her. Further to this, she's also the co-founder of The Learned Friend. This is a newly formed legal platform empowering everybody to equip them to understand the law and its application, to our daily lives. Welcome, Aurelia.
Thank you.
Stunning, stunning. Okay, let me just admit a bit more people.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Refilwe Ross is an admitted attorney of the Republic of South Africa and a philanthropist with a passion for youth development. She obtained her qualification at the University of Witwatersrand, one of the best laws in South Africa, where she took initiative not to just grow herself, but others too. She was a tutor and a student manager of the GUID, where she mentored sexually abused girls. Welcome, Refilwe.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right, so we know all about the glamorous legal profession as it's been documented across various different platforms, but today we're going to go into the real detail about what it takes to be a legal professional. And being Women's Month, it's only fitting that we have two stunning ladies to take us through the conversation. So I guess both of you can just answer for yourselves. What was that defining moment when you decided as a, in grade 10s, 11s, and 12, where you decided, I want to be a lawyer, the most incredible profession in the world, and this is the career path that I want to pursue? Perhaps we can start with you, Aurelia.
So the defining moment for me was I speak about this a lot. I actually had a little scrapbook. I still have a scrapbook to this day. I write everything down. I had a scrapbook in grade 11 where I wrote that in 5 years' time, I would be a successful corporate lawyer. So I wrote that with not much understanding, because again, the love was in seeing what you see on TV, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. And I knew from grade 10, from when I was choosing my subjects, that law was for me. One, I really couldn't do maths. I actually dropped maths in grade 10 and did accounting without maths. Doesn't make sense, but I mean, I was so fearful of maths, and it's one of the fears I'm trying to get over, because it's the block from me attaining my master's in business, you know. So it was at that point, and I was like, okay, well, I know exactly what I need. I don't need maths for law. I needed an A in history, an A in drama, an A in English, you know. So I had that checklist from a very early stage, and we had the benefit of varsities coming to our school and career days, where they would, you know, obviously show you a bouquet of what they offer, and then you choose according to that. So we had that, I think, in grade 9. So going into grade 10, I already knew that this is law was for me. I knew how many points I needed to get. At that point, I think it was a UKZN. You needed 35 points. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get 40, you know, just to make sure that, you know, I'm not sitting at 35, you know. So, yeah, so that defining moment was from obviously just my environment, watching this on TV as well. I love investigative stuff. I love law. And it was just something that was harnessed from that point. And I wrote it down that I'm going to be a corporate lawyer, but it wasn't with the full understanding. 13 years later, I'm doing exactly what I wrote in grade 11. But again, I'm going to expand on what that meant for me at that point. Yeah. So that was a defining moment for me in grade 11. I can't hear you.
Okay, I think I can hear you.
I can't
Can you hear me?
Now can you? Yeah.
Okay. Well, my story is very similar to Aurelia's story. For me, it was also at a career fair where I think it was in grade 9. We went to a school, some school in Pretoria. I think it was Menlo Park, where I think Wits sold it to me, and I started doing my research. And that's when for me, it was, you know, as I was doing my research, it was just how I was just very intrigued on how the law would develop, and, you know, the different branches of law, and what you could do with an LLB degree. So I did my research, and I fell in love with it.
Incredible, incredible. So we know that it's probably better for you as a student. This is to all of our matriculants and people who have already joined the law profession, to, you know, overshoot your admission point score and the entry requirements that are required from you and of you by the institution, because we know that there's actually only a 1 in 10 enrollment rate at university. So for every 10 people that apply, only 1 person will actually get a slot at that university. So it's very important for you to look at the different entry requirements per institution and to aim above that. We also know that you don't necessarily need strong mathematics marks in order for you to qualify for a law degree. We'll be putting up some different links to universities in the chat for you to access later. And you can also find all of this information on Levels app for what qualifications you can study at the different institutions and what all of that means. So back to you, Refilwe. So tell us about the difference between a BA law, an LLB, a BCom law. We know that there are quite a few degrees in the profession. How do you make the decision, and why would one want to do a BA law, BCom law versus an LLB?
So with the BA law, I think, well, a BCom law, it's more of your accountancy, like the background, and then with BA, like I to tell you the honest truth, I haven't done much research on the BA and the difference between the BA and the BCom, because I just knew that I wanted to do an LLB. So I just did research on that, and I did my straight LLB. But I know now some universities don't offer a straight LLB. But I think if you want like a commerce background, then a BCom would be suitable. And then I don't have much information on a BA, but you need an undergrad now to you need to complete your undergrad degree to be able to do your LLB. I think it's a postgrad now.
Yeah. Okay. Aurelia, perhaps share your insights on the different qualifications and what your experience was and your understanding.
Okay, cool. So my insight, so the BCom law was, again, you needed accounting and a bit of maths, so it was a no-go area. But if you want, if you want that combination, as Refilwe has said, that you have that almost like that accounting background or that financial background, BCom law is great if you want to go work in in-house roles like at a financial institution. So it's always great. Or even if you're within a law firm and you are placed in procurement, for example, so that's always a great advantage when you've got the BCom law aspect of it. And then the BA law, so from my experience with the BA law, I saw it with a lot of people when I was studying, where when I was at UKZN. So I did a straight LLB, but I had friends who were doing BA law. So how they did it is that you would get like a humanities, BA is under humanities department, right? So, and then you do legal studies. So you major in law and other aspects of that. But for it to be a law degree, you have to do a further 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So you would get the first 3 years, and then you'd have the 2 years afterwards, when then you can convert it into a law degree, from what I understand. Am I correct, Refilwe?
Yeah, you are correct.
Yeah, so I do recall that some of those people that took those options were probably people who couldn't initially, like maybe if your marks for LLB, you didn't have the enough points, but you can work through them during varsity. So you do legal studies. So you'd see some people in our lecture rooms, because one of their modules in legal studies required them to be in my family law lecture, even though I was doing a straight LLB. Or if you were doing commercial law, So it's one of those things where it does intertwine, but it's one of those ways you can go around it if maybe by entry you didn't have enough points, but it's the longer route, but it still serves the same purpose if you're really passionate about being law and having a law degree.
Stunning. So, we know that it's very nuanced, that you can, veer more towards the humanities or more towards the commercial side, or just do a straight law degree. So it's really just about what your needs are, what you're interested in, and what skills you want to develop and what talents you want to nurture. And that should inform your choice in terms of what it is that you study towards if you are pursuing a legal degree. Okay, so university life, you're on campus, you're at WITS, you're at UKZN. It's this incredible microcosm of different people across different walks of life. And the nice thing about the law profession is that there are actually opportunities for you to practice, practically the law, as it were, in structures that are built into each university, or most universities in South Africa, such as street law and the law clinic. Refilwe, could you tell us a bit more about that?
So I did, law clinic was a compulsory course that you needed to take, and I did it in final year, and I know some universities do it, I think, in their third year. So we did it in final year, and at WITS, you could choose like the different branches of law. I remember at the time I was there, they had property law, they had general law, employment, and other branches of law. So I did employment law, and you are partnered with another person who's also doing their final year, and you do it once a week, where you actually do like legal work with obviously a supervisor, an admitted attorney who supervises your work. So you would do everything from setting up consultations to witness consultations, going to court, going to the CCMA, obviously with your supervisor. So it was really, really nice, because you then got to see the practical side of the law, because it sometimes is quite different. So what you study and the practice there's sometimes a difference. So it was really nice to see that during my time at Wits.
Okay, okay. And Aurelia, on your side, tell us a bit more about street law, how that works, and the different ways that you can develop yourself and practice law as a student in the context of university.
So with my experience, so street law is actually one of our modules that we did at GKZN. So it involved going to high schools and speaking to the seniors at the high school regarding, like, obviously, like, we'll speak about crime and what, things that were relevant to them at that time. So things like, we've seen how large, and there's been such an increase of rape cases, but people also don't understand the no and the consent, and it's a legal thing, so we'd speak about that. We'd go into prisons, the juveniles, and speak on that as well, and speak about the law and as it applies to them. And another thing that just expanding from what Refilwe said, so if law clinic is not the route that you take while you're studying, what I did from first year, every every July holidays as well as December holidays, I was doing vacation programs at Bowman, which is in Durban. So not Bowman, Garlic and Bassfield, which was in Durban. And so I was doing VAC work. So when schools were closed, I was at a law firm working, doing research. So I was obviously under a principal, and it was in the corporate and commercial department, and as well as labor. So we do consultations with him, and then I would research for his cases or his opinions, or I even got involved with one of the biggest cases with Shabir Sheikh, and I went to court. It was so exciting for me. I was just like, oh my God, this is really it, And so I think also just being exposing yourself, and also just learning different layers about yourself. Like, okay, if this is for me, actually during that time is when I decided I could never do practice, because it was so demanding in the volume of work, and you almost essentially don't have a life outside of practice. And that's how I felt at that time. And so it gave me an opportunity to learn myself, and like exactly how I can use my law degree in which way, which is why I was talking about 13 years later, I'm actually living what I wrote in grade 11, where I'm an in-house role, where I'm not in a law firm, but I'm still practicing law.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So if we have any grade 11s who are listening, and I suppose anyone in grade 12 or in university, write down your dreams today. Today is the day to write down your dreams. Today is the day to actually articulate exactly what it is you want out of your career and life, because what you write down is what you actualize. That's what actually comes true. When we talk about dreams come true, this is exactly what we're talking about. Once you write it down, you articulate it, you put it in words, you unconsciously, drive yourself towards those types of initiatives and goals, and ultimately your dreams come true. Refilwe, please go ahead. Sorry about that.
Just to add on to what Aurelia was saying about vacation work and shadowing, admitted attorneys and advocates and so forth. I just wanted to emphasize the importance of that, because, you also get to establish what it is that you really, really want to do, and a lot of law firms have those kind of programs where you can you don't have to wait for university.
Yes.
You can shadow, just get in touch with the law firm, explain what it is that you're interested in, so that when you do make a decision, you know exactly what it is that you want and you're getting yourself into.
Stunning.
So to speak. Yeah.
Stunning. So tell us, can we just expand on that, on vacation work? So how do you get vacation work? How, there are a lot of students here, on Zoom and on Facebook who are listening now, and they're in university. And this is a perfect opportunity for them to decide whether they want to be in practice, whether they want to be in-house legal counsel, whether they want to be corporate lawyers. The perfect opportunity to experience that is practically. Refilwe said it, Aurelia said it. How do you obtain those practical opportunities to be on the case for Shabir Sheikh, for instance, or at least to get a window into that? Aurelia, tell us a bit about that, and Refilwe, please also expand on that and how you were able to identify those opportunities. And guys, please put all your questions in the chat. We will, address your questions and get to them as and when the conversation flows. Aurelia?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm also looking at the chats. I hope everyone can hear us now because they were saying that they can't hear us. So yeah, with that, we live in information technology, internet world right now. So Google is your friend. But back then, it's so important for the associations and networks that you build. So again, if it's in a law clinic, they have a lot of people they can refer you to as well. So then also Google. So there's things like, at a point, I wanted to work for Legal Aid South Africa to fill in this, because I did a lot of humanitarian work as well. So I had like a lot of charities I was working during my studying. So I was like, I really want to help people. And if I want to help people, I had to be legal aid. So I remember interviewing after I graduated at legal aid, and they asked me a question that was rather, so I mean, obviously you get into a point where you're now defending a criminal and they're like, okay, well, this is the case, and so how do you do it? And then I was like, I definitely cannot. That's when I knew criminal law would never be for me. As much as I wanted to help, I also had to understand myself that, am I really a criminal person? I probably would start crying, so I don't want to put myself in that position, or, so again, you have to explore different types of laws and also just know yourself, and that's how you actually learn about yourself. So it is on Google. It is, I mean, there's internships at these big organizations, whether it's Vodacom, they're looking for law graduates if you can't secure articles. Now, there's vacation work that you do while you're studying. That's all in law firms, top law firms. You can even look at even the smaller law firms, like and just reach out to them. Everything is literally in your hands right now. You've got data, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter. A lot of companies are now also on social media. So it's just a matter of you taking their number down, calling them, or even following up with an email. There's even opportunities that I've seen when I was doing my postgrad at UJ, where law students were working within that department as well. So there's so many opportunities, and it's just, as Refilwe has said, that it just requires you to research, and then until you find what works for you.
Yeah. Refilwe, your thoughts? How were you able to identify those opportunities? And I mean, today you work at Clyde & Co., which is one of the biggest law firms in the world globally. Yeah. What are the opportunities that exist at Clyde & Co., and how were you able to identify an opportunity to do that work?
So when I was at varsity, we used to have a lot of career days where all these law firms would come to the university, and sell themselves. And that's when, we would exchange details. And on the website as well, like Aurelia has said already, there are so many law firms, and you can apply on the website, and the applications aren't that complicated. I think it's just I remember at the time I did VAC work at ENS Africa, and at the time I just needed to send my CV, my marks, and a motivational letter of why do I want to do VAC work with them. Okay. But I remember at the time, a lot of people couldn't get into, like, a lot of applications would be rejected because people didn't know how to, draft a CV, which is very, very important. Your style and how you sell yourself is very, very important. Your marks are extremely important. Okay. So, yeah. We really need to work hard.
We have a question from Zoe about studying further, so postgraduate studies. Zoe, if you can just switch on your camera and your audio and ask your question, please go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Zoe.
I have a question. My question is, I have a postgraduate degree in public management and governance. Mm-hmm. But I have decided to go on and further my studies to do a 3-year course. I think it's a postgraduate 3-year course. So you don't do 4 years, you do 3 at Wits. So I wanted to ask, if I don't want to practice, can I actually use my degree with my previous degree to actually do something within the law space?
Okay, perhaps Aurelia.
I can answer that.
Perhaps Aurelia can take this question, because there's another question that relates to another candidate would like to know how to get into a prestigious law firm like Clyde & Co. So perhaps Aurelia take this one, and then Refilwe will take Mpho's question.
Okay.
All right, cool. Hi, Zoe. Well, I think I'm always for studying further. I'm always for expanding. I've got a compliance management certificate from UCT. I did my postgrad in drafting, contract, and interpretation at UJ, and I've also got corporate governance, because again, the law intertwines. So if you've already got something in public policy, you might find that if you do other courses that are more law related, you might find yourself in positions where you are drafting policy or having opinions on legal policies and public policies. If it's in the governance space, there's specific courses that you can also take in the corporate and governance and regulatory and compliance space. Compliance is a big one right now. And with compliance, there isn't an undergrad for compliance. So what most compliance officers have done are actually people with a law degree who have now taken on compliance, because you can't go into varsity and be like, oh no, I'm going to study being a compliance officer. So it's usually like with an undergrad like law, where then you study further and you do a certificate in compliance, and then that's how you diversify yourself and be in that field within the law, within the regulatory governance and compliance space. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Perfect. All the best with studying further with the LLB.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
And then we have a question from Mpho Khechane. Mpho, go ahead and ask Refilwe your question.
Can't hear Mpho.
Let's go look for Mpho.
We can't hear her speaking. But...
Oh, she's okay. Let me unmute Mpho.
Hi everyone.
Mpho.
So I have a question regarding where you did your law degree. So I am planning to be a corporate lawyer, and I've researched a lot about the good law firms like Borman's. And what I've realized about those law firms is that they take students from good universities like Verse and UCT. And I'm wondering, if I'd like to do my articles there, do I need to go to a good university, because I'm currently studying at UNISA?
Well, look, they take, it's not just use, I don't think they just consider applications of students who are just from VIT and UCT. There are people who have, I know, when I was doing my articles, there were people from the University of Northwest, UP, so they don't just look at, they look at marks. I think for them, that's what's important. So as long as your marks are great and, you sell yourself, then I'm sure they will consider your application.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I get it.
Just to add on with Mpho, I started my law degree at UKZN. So I did 3 years in UKZN and actually only completed my degree at UNISA. So what happened was, when I took a break and like trying to figure out, and I like personal circumstances at the time, I moved to Joburg and transferred my studies, but they can, at UNISA or any other varsity, they're only going to credit you for 50%. So meaning 2 years, I repeat my third year at UNISA and do a fourth year to eventually then get my law degree. Okay. And just to emphasize what Refilwe is saying, it is your marks that are important. It's not a matter of whether you studied in UNISA or Fort Hare or wherever. It is your marks that are important. And there's just so many other ways to skin a cat. So for me, if it's not articles at a big law firm, it could be articles at even a smaller firm, or even internship at big organizations. You're still getting that law experience, but you can also then work around, if your passion is in corporate law, and you don't have to only get into a law firm by doing articles. So you can work at this point and work your way into a law firm eventually. Like yeah.
And just to add on what Aurelia said, you know, so when I finished university, I didn't do articles straight after university. I did a graduate program with BMW where I was in their legal and compliance department, you know, and that was very, very interesting. And what I loved about that was, you know, unlike, you know, doing articles, you don't focus on one branch of law. So when I was a graduate program, I did legal and compliance. Like, I got my hands dirty. So every day was different, you know, and that's what I loved about that, that experience. It was only after after I did my research that I went to do my articles and I became an admitted attorney. Yeah.
Stunning.
Okay.
So I also just wanted to thank you both, ladies, and thank you, Mpho, for your question, and Zoe. So I'd like to take a step back and just say, you know, now you've graduated, you know, you're going into your working life. Let's talk a bit more in detail about that, because what we've discovered is, just as it's dynamic, you know, for you to study towards a law qualification, it seems the path to actually be an admitted attorney or advocate is equally dynamic. So perhaps if you could talk us through, Refilwe and Aurelia, the different ways you can qualify to be an advocate and an admitted advocate, and the different ways you can qualify to be an admitted attorney, and what path you chose. Perhaps you can go ahead, Aurelia.
Okay, cool. So there's obviously the conventional way. Once you've graduated, it's either be an attorney or an advocate. So I know Refilwe is you're gonna talk about the attorney part, right?
Yeah.
I chose was, so initially, funny enough, my path was the conventional path as well, to obviously be an admitted attorney. So what I did, like Refilwe, I didn't go do my articles because I already figured out during my work experience that I don't want to be in practice. So I ended up working at broadcasting and media company, where I was in the legal department. And during that time, I did night school, which is a professional legal training with the Law Society. So for 6 months, after work, I'd go to attend classes from 6 till 9 o'clock, and then on weekends as well, and then wrote my exams. But that was preparing me for my board exams for my admissions as an attorney. I then, in the year that I actually decided to write my board exam, so I wrote all 4. It was in August, and I was also doing my postgrad at the same time. So, but it was also the same year that there was a leak. You know, I think there were 2 leaks that year. So what then that said, so then paper 3 was leaked, and they said, no, we have to rewrite. So that was okay until they said all 4 papers have to be rewritten. This for attorney admissions. But it was in the same week I was writing my exams for my postgrad. So I had to then choose, okay, I can write these exams at whatever point again, but my postgrad, I need to do it this year and finish it this year, as opposed to, because there was like an annual opportunity. It wasn't that I was going to get like another opportunity, you know, to write them. So I chose to then not rewrite my board exams, and then I did my postgrad and completed my postgrad successfully and passed. And then after that, speaking to my mentor, who's actually a partner at Faskin at the moment, she used to be at Bowman before, she was like, but why do you want to be admitted as an attorney? Because you don't want to be in practice, you want to always be in the in-house. So in being an in-house, I'm also a member of the Corporate Counsel Association of South Africa, which is an association for in-house legal advisors and legal officers or counsel. And I was like, no, because I need to finish it, you know, but finish it for what? What purpose is it going to be for you to have been admitted as an attorney when you don't plan on practicing and rather staying in your in-house role? I was like, oh, well, then she's like, why don't you get admitted as an advocate? And that way you can still, you know, have that law backing in the background and the title, and still carry on in your in-house roles and so forth, without having to have done your board exam. So I was like, okay, well, I'll look at that option, because again, with what we know and we understand why in the legal fraternity they say, okay, well, there's pupillage. Pupillage is a year in which you don't get a salary. So before 2018, November 2018, you could be admitted as an advocate without doing pupillage, what we call the sidebar, meaning that you have the title and you can still practice, but you're not part of a bar. So meaning like you're not part of the Johannesburg bar, which is just a membership essentially. But if you're part of the bar, you get assigned to a mentor or for the year, or a senior advocate for the year, who you're now working under and training under, and then you also write your bar exams to then be after your pupillage to then be admitted as an advocate. So if your degree was before 2018 November, I think it's November 2018, you can then still be admitted as an advocate without doing pupillage, and then do pupillage at a later stage. But now you have to do pupillage and then be admitted as an advocate. I don't know if that's quite clear. Hello?
I think you articulated it properly.
Yeah.
I understood what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So the option that I've taken in being an in-house role and in-house roles, and that's being my thing, is that I'm an advocate, admitted by the High Court, but I haven't done my pupillage, but I do have option to do it as and when I feel it's something that I want or need to do to progress myself.
Okay, stunning. So, I mean, obviously there would be affordability issues with doing your pupillage if you're not paid for the year or for the period. Perhaps we can tell us about that. How do people access pupillage without the financial means that goes with it?
So it's a tough one. Funny enough, the guy friend that we got admitted with last year in October, he went on to do his pupillage. So, I mean, I speak to him every day. It is a very difficult thing. And again, you have to look at your personal circumstances. So for me, having worked for so long and then not be able to be in a position where I have a salary was something that was like something I could not possibly do. I've got 2 kids, I've got an entire house and other passions that I'm following that need this finance. So I couldn't afford a year with no salary. Again, that comes with a lot of support from either family, if you're married, it comes from your spouse, so it needs a lot of support for that year, because it is quite a tough year and a rigorous training as well. I mean, some of the exams are like 8 hours long, and rightfully so, because that training and that legal muscle that you get from that practice is one of wonder. I mean, we've seen the advocates in Oscar Pistorius. I mean, really, some of these things, you have to it's experience that gets you there, Yeah. So again, it's a year. You have to look at your affordability, and that's just what has been the biggest issues, that a lot of people can't access it because not a lot of people can sacrifice a year with no pay.
Okay. And Refilwe, please tell us about your experience as and what it takes for you to qualify as an attorney. So I actually worked at Mercedes-Benz. I did my articles at Mercedes-Benz, and we got to drive Mercedes-Benz at a massively reduced price. So I'm wondering if you got to drive a BMW as well.
Well, no, but we did other interesting stuff. I remember we did, I got a advanced driving course thing that I did, which was really, really awesome. But when I was at BMW, I was assigned a mentor. She's exceptionally smart, very incredible. And I remember, as I was, working and, doing my research, I realized, even though I'd love to be here, I'd love to be at BMW for a long time. I thought there's a ceiling. There's going to be a point where, there's a ceiling, and I needed to be, because all the legal advisors are admitted attorneys. So I always thought, let me just go do my articles. I'll always come back.
Yeah.
you know, and that's what I did. And then I went to do my articles at Norton Rose. I went to Norton Rose. I did my articles there, and with them, I remember during the 2 years of articles, you rotate 4 times. So I was in the employment department. I then did banking and finance. I did a little bit of insolvency, but the director then left, and then I was moved to commercial litigation, and then I ended up at insurance and got retained in transport. So you do your articles. So first of all, you have to be older than 21 or 21 and older, yeah. You have to have your LLB degree. You have to be you have to work at a law firm and do your articles there for 2 years, and then do your board exams. Yeah, that was also, that's a story for another day. But yeah, it was it was quite hard. And I'm sure Aurelia can agree with me. Board exams are not easy. And I think you've got, within the 2 years, I think you've got you've got 4 chances of writing your boards. I remember I wrote all 4, and I got an oral for 1. Yeah, so yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Bushani, we can't hear you. She muted herself. Hello? We can't hear you. Hello? Hello?
Okay. Hi there.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, great. So really a very dynamic journey and a very dynamic career path. And there are many ways to skin a cat. There are many ways that you can become an attorney and an advocate. And, you know, you really have to put in the hard work. You need to put in the hours and be willing to make that personal sacrifice. So to everyone, please do share your questions on the platform. A lot of people are messaging me privately and on WhatsApp. Rather send your messages on the platform. This is your opportunity to engage these 2 incredible professionals, and please take the opportunity to engage them directly. So one of the questions that came through is about importance of the law and the things that a young woman should be mindful of from a legal perspective in terms of corporate life and finances and relationships. Very big question. We can break it up. So perhaps from you, Refilwe, what would you say are the things that one should be mindful of as a young woman in South Africa from a legal perspective, the laws that someone should be mindful of and be aware of, it being Women's Month and us taking the time and moment to recognize the importance that women play in society?
Geez.
Question.
Sorry?
It's a big question, but again,
It is.
Yes, just things that are very important, front of mind, that you think this is, you know, once you became an attorney, you were like, you know what, every young girl should know this.
I think just your use of social media, you know, the things that you post, what you say on social media, because, you know, and you know, sometimes when you're doing it, you might not think, like sometimes the things that you do say and the things that you do post do have repercussions. So I think it's very important to just be mindful of the kind of content that you share, the things that you do say, you know, your opinions. That for me, I think is very, very important for everyone and not just women.
Okay.
You know,
stunning. Yeah. Thank you very much. And for you, Aurelia, I mean, we know that you're a law influencer. Aurelia has over 150,000 followers across all of her different social media platforms, which is an amazingly large number. I don't know how you keep up with all your followers. You know, what does it mean to be a law influencer? How has the you know, the caveat between law and technology made you a better professional, and Why is it, and why is it important for you to use technology in a positive way?
So just also drawing from what Refilwe is saying, again, this applies to everybody and not just women. It's in how you carry yourself and how you show up as well. Because again, especially for women, what a man does and what a woman does is not viewed the same way. So you can very well tweet the same thing as a guy, but because it's coming from a woman, you might be more, criminalized for it, because of your opinion and. So I think, I'm learning to marry the two myself now, and I've had that opportunity. So for me, having the following wasn't intentional. I was just posting my happy and positive self. And then it grew to something that I was like, okay, well, this can really work. How do I then also feature this low aspect and low passion into this as well? So also understanding that I'm coming from also a pageant girl background. So when I was not from high school, when I was not at school, I was working. I was either doing fashion shows for Pick and Pay at Beach Africa in Durban. I was doing promotions for Coca-Cola and Shield at ShopRite, So I've always had that work ethic and always had that thing. So even when I remember, I was at a conference last year, and one of the big law firms was asked, the panelist was asked, what does being a lawyer mean now? Mm-hmm. And I will never forget this. And they said being multidextrous. And I was like, what is this, like this word? Went and I researched it, looked it up, and it means multi-skilled. Whereas before, all they wanted was marks. Now they look at, what do you do outside of school? What do you do outside of just studying? Do you have a life? Do you do anything outside? Are they passionate? So they ask you these things now, where now you have to be this multi-skilled person, which in itself is such a big change to what we've been raised to know, like focus on school, focus on work. This is what you need to do. Now you actually want to know that I'm part of a book club, or I do this on weekends, or I've got like, do you get what I'm saying? Like Refilwe might touch on it as well. She's got other stuff that she does outside of just law, which adds that value to who she is and adds value to the work that she does. So even on social media, with our platform called The Learned Friend, we did our first workshop with Miss South Africa finalists this past weekend. And there was us teaching them about being a responsible digital citizen, because again, now it's almost like, okay, well, you are this person who's got opinions, but your opinions also have, you don't just have an opinion and then it ends there. If you defame somebody in your opinion, that's a legal implication. It's got legal implications. If you gossip or speak about somebody, that in itself can also have legal implications. So it's having those things, and also just, yes, have an opinion and you have freedom of expression, but your expression also has limitations. So it's knowing those things, and also that every single person is now a publisher. So before it used to be newspapers, it used to be TV, news on TV, radio, but now when you wake up and you take your phone and you take a picture, you are a publisher. When you wake up and you tweet, you've published something. So if Refilwe goes and says, I hate the president, blah, 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 yeah, then I retweet that, I'm also publishing. So if at any point that the president goes for Refilwe, they can go for me too, because I've also published it. So be careful what you retweet. Be careful what you share. Yes, you might have a good intention to raise awareness, but if ever there was somebody catching a case, you will be thrown in that case as well.
Yeah, sure. Very insightful words. And you heard it from a lawyer, so, we can't argue that. So be a responsible digital citizen, as it were, something to be mindful of, and be cognizant of the content that you put out there, the content that you share, and the content that you like, support, comment on, etc. Yeah, go ahead.
What Refilwe was saying, what you share, like if you're looking for a job, they look at your social media now. So yeah. Even ask you in your applications, what's your LinkedIn profile, what's your Twitter, Facebook, everything. So they do their checks before you've even spoken to them. So you can be a top person and not get a job because you are reckless on social media.
Sure.
And they have their ways of finding your account even when you're private.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very important and very wise words. And, something that we should actually think about, the future of law and technology and that caveat, and, perhaps other possible career opportunities and careers of the future. But that's a conversation for another day. Aurelia used the word ambidextrous, a very big word, and Refilwe has been using very big words as well. So it seems, our lawyers are very articulate people, very well spoken. We have a question that's come through from Mogola about articulation, English, and the ability to converse and express oneself. Perhaps, Refilwe, you can take it. Mogola, please go ahead and ask your question.
Morning, Refilwe. Morning, Aurelia. Hope you guys are well. Presenting. My name is Mogola. I work in finance and investment banking, but I've obviously always had an interest in the law because of what you see on TV, from Suits to Law and Order, all these type of legal shows. It's super interesting, and I'm really enjoying this session. Thank you so much for organizing it, Bujane. My question is just in terms of, I'm hearing you guys presenting ideas quite well, and even in my job, it's all about presenting ideas and how you present them, but obviously it's different from a legal and financial perspective. But how proficient does your English have to be? Because some people on this call, including myself, are not first language English speakers. A, and B, how would you actually advise us to get up the curve in terms of improving your English speaking skills and abilities?
Thank you, Mogola. Refilwe, perhaps you can share your...
Thank you for your question. I think for me, what sort of helps me is reading a lot. That's always helped me. And look, I'm sitting here, I'm very nervous. I haven't always been this articulate. It also just comes with reading a lot, experience, talking to. I remember when I first had to speak to, like when I first did my first presentation, it was very, very horrible. So but as you grow older and you experience, you've got different experiences, then it becomes well better or much easier. So I think just also reading, I think for me,
Can I sneak a question in there? What's on your bookshelf right now, Refilwe?
I'm actually staring at it. The Defining Decade, that's what I'm reading now. The Year of the Yes, How Did I Get Here? I think it's A Return to Love. Yeah, so that's what I'm reading.
Read those. Oh, that one's
Have you read?
And for you, Aurelia, how did you develop your command for the English language? How can people improve themselves? And how do you develop your speaking skills and your orator skills?
I also watch a lot of YouTube. I watch YouTube. I watch having been now a law influencer, a corporate influencer, I've been invited to talks and I get so nervous. Like I get really, really nervous. I'm the worst person to come to 5 minutes before because I've got my earphones on and I am jamming to some music because that's how I hype myself up. But in learning that, I've got the pageant background as well. So I was taught how to speak, how to answer questions and present. I've done presentation courses during work. I've even done, something like into 20 nyaza. I've done telephone etiquette courses where they say you must, because I was like, I have a problem that my voice is a little too squeaky, so I don't sound serious enough. And they're like, yeah, well, when you answer the phone, you must hum before you, things like that, like, hi, how are you? And you sound like it's a constant ongoing journey where you are learning self. I did drama because I used to be a very, very shy person. So I did drama to just, build that confidence. Now I'm watching a lot of YouTube on public speaking because I want to learn, how to tell a story where it's you tell a story in your speaking or in your presentation, So there's different ways now, and you just it helps you with adapting. Also reading. I'm part of a book club. I read a lot as well. I'm a very big on self-help books. Right now, I am reading Yes to Life in Spite of Everything, which is very, very irrelevant right now. During this pandemic. So it's just building that confidence, listening to people. Like if you like the way Oprah presents herself, listen to her, listen to how she started, listen to her stories and how she speaks, practice, and just keep doing it. And then that's how you actually just learn, you know, and
Stunning.
you build. And the reading and research helps you be more confident, so that even when you do speak, you're speaking from a place of authority, and you have that confidence in your voice.
Stunning. Incredible. So, you know, at Levels App and at Meet the Mentor, we love to give away gifts. The gifts, we are the gift that keeps on giving. So we're running a quick competition. The first 2 people to repost today's poster for Meet the Mentor with Refilwe, Ross, and Aurelia on their social media platforms, and you know, create the hashtag Reading is Life. So hashtag Reading is Life. You post that on your social media. You post today's poster. Each 2 people will win one of Refilwe's favorite books and one of Aurelia's favorite books. So go to social media, go to Facebook, go to our Facebook pages, tag us, go to our Instagram page, tag us. First 2 people win their favorite books. And just to round off, we have one last question from Courage. I'd just like to address Courage's question. And it relates to working at a firm versus being your own boss. I think both Refilwe and Aurelia can answer the question, because in many ways, you know, Refilwe is our corporate manager, and more on the entrepreneurial side. So if you could just tell us perhaps, you know, how do you find the balance and what do you enjoy most about being corporate and being an entrepreneur? Refilwe, please go ahead.
I think that Aurelia can answer that question because she's had experience on both sides. But for me, look, you know, from the knowledge that I have, you know, I think it's, you know, with being an advocate, and I'm sure Aurelia can agree with me, it's a lot more difficult because, you know, if you don't work, you don't get paid. If there are no instructions, there's no money.
It's what are you?
As with a lawyer, even if you do 2 instructions that month, you're still getting a salary. Yeah. So I think it's very difficult for advocates in that sense. But you know, it's not a reason to not pursue being an advocate, because I know it also has its perks, because you get to control your time. You know, so if you want to work at 5 o'clock in the evening until 10 o'clock at night, you can do exactly that. Whereas with a lawyer, with an attorney, who's, you know, practicing, 8 o'clock you have to be at work. You know, you have to do your hours, 8 hours, and so forth. But I'm sure Aurelia can just expand on that.
So I think I've been scared of entrepreneurship for so long, and then I realized that you've actually been an entrepreneur this whole time. I didn't know, you know. So it's one of those things where sometimes when you put labels on something, you're just like, no, I could never. I'm me, an entrepreneur, never. I own my own business. And then I found myself like, you're admitted as an attorney and get an instruction. I mean, as an advocate, and you get an instruction from an attorney, and oh, okay. So it's that discipline. One, it's discipline that you actually have to do the work. And this is why we really push for people to do pupillage and be part of a bar, because that network gets you the jobs. So in not being part of the bar, of that membership, like it's more of a struggle, because then you're working on just like that one attorney that you know, or do you get what I'm saying? But once you're in that membership and you're part of that network, then you get a lot more work and a lot more experience in essence as well. But just to go back to what Courage was saying, that I think what we both can share that with Refilwe is that we've had the law firm aspects, we've had the in-house aspects, as she worked in BMW before going to a law firm. And it's that experience. So I really do believe in getting that legal muscle and that experience before you start your own thing, as opposed to just graduating and then starting your own entrepreneurship, your own company in the law space, because you haven't actually exercised that muscle. You haven't actually given yourself that authority and experience, which gives you, you know, that confidence to start and be successful in your own company, you know. So I think the work experience, the vast work experience that you can get or network that you build during that time really does go a long way for when you want to start your own thing.
Stunning, stunning. And yeah, I mean, look, what an incredible session. It looks like we've even run out of time. Just one last thing that I'd like to cover, which is something that's very close to my heart: giving back, social impact work, and doing work that matters, you know, and that has value. Both of you are very involved with social impact projects and have both generously donated your time to do today's session. And in your private lives, you also do a lot of social impact work. Tell us about the importance of giving back, why it's important, and why it's important for you to be an active citizen, as it were. Aurelia?
Sure. I think I've been an active citizen for as long as I can remember, since high school. So it's always just been in me. And I think it emanates from the fact that I wasn't raised by my parents. I was raised by my grandparents from 5 years old. And I've seen what they've done for other kids. Like, I don't know, there wasn't 1 year where there was a random family member that's staying with us and they putting him or her through school. And I've seen the amount of people they've helped, you know, whether it's through church, whether it's through family members that they've taken in, like they took me in. So hence one of my biggest thing is passing on the baton. My blog is centered around that I'm there to help the next person. So I'm there to make it easier for the next person, if they're following the path that I want to follow, you know, because I've learned those things and I've had actual life practical experience of it. So for me, it's really, really important. And also just exposure. So I believe that especially for young girl child, in all my initiatives are centered around women and young girls, because what you're exposed to is actually what becomes your life. So for me, exposing girls that normally wouldn't be exposed to an Aurelia working in a big law firm or big organization, I'm exposing those girls that wouldn't normally be exposed to that and helping them, like, this is accessible, this is possible. And it's so easy now to even do it through social media, because when you're now speaking on DMs with Aurelia or via email, it makes it that much more attainable for the next person. Like, this is possible. It doesn't sound like a dream, you know, it sounds like something that I can also do. So yeah, that for me is one of my key things and my key aspirations, to just be accessible and make things accessible for others.
Stunning. And we believe in that too at the Level Up Foundation and Levels App, that access to economic opportunities, access to information is really where you are able to build an incredible career and for you to live a meaningful life. And for you, Refilwe, what's the importance of giving?
Like Aurelia said, for me, it's, you know, it's a personal thing. It's just very, very fulfilling, you know, to impart the knowledge that you have to, you know, for somebody to not make the same mistakes that you made when you were going through this, the journey. Do you get what I mean? Like, I didn't have, you know, the luxury of having this, you know, there were so many things that I think I should, had I known then, I would have made different
choices,
decisions. Yeah. So I think for me, it's just very fulfilling, you know, just to make somebody's life easier.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Because it also does not take away from your journey and your achievements and, you know, your success or your light. It really doesn't. If anything, you know, it just makes it more. Yeah.
Stunning. I couldn't have said it better myself. You heard it directly from our mentors, Refilwe Ross and Aurelia Nxumalo. It starts with you. You know, the change that you want to see starts with you. Everything starts when you're young. It starts now. It starts today. Write down your goals. Apply to university. Use the Levels app. Engage your mentors. They're on social media. You can contact them. We'll ask them to share their contact details at the end. And really live a meaningful life and take advantage of opportunities like this. Thank you very much to you both for making the time to come and join us. This was an incredible session. You know, every week we're more blown away than the week before, and we're incredibly appreciative to you both for giving us, you know, your time. If people would like to get in touch with you, which they probably already know, but please do, you know, share your social media handles on the chat, and we'll also share them on our social media. Refilwe, any parting words, anything you'd like to say? Just one last word to our youth.
You know, there is no greater inheritance than education. Your family, your parents, they can be taken away from you tomorrow, but you know, education is something that no one can ever take away from you. So study hard, work hard. You know, this journey is, you know, it's not perfect. It's not without its challenges. But look, I've never had a day where I regretted being an attorney. I've had difficult times, yes, but there's never been a time where I regretted this journey, and it's been incredible. And like, you know, I am available to share the little that I do know. So my handle is Fifi Ross, FIFY _ROSS, and that's on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook, and I'm very useless on Twitter. So yeah.
Okay. Any parting words from you, Aurelia?
Stay the course. It is, as Refilwe said, it is difficult. It does get challenging, but stay the course. I believe like God is supervening power, and he doesn't give you what he knows you can't handle, or doesn't put certain things in your direction for you to not take advantage of Levels app, take advantage of such platforms, take advantage of Bojane and her network, wink wink, you know, and those things are just there to aid you, make it easier. Again, we're all about accessibility, we're all about helping the next person, and you know, just seeing us grow as black people, and us actually take the power in our corporates, take the power in the real power in our country, you know. So we need to be armed with the law. We need to be armed with knowing how to navigate politics, how to navigate law, how to navigate life using law. Every aspect of our life requires law. You drive on the right side because I mean on the left or the right, because it's law to do so. So you apply these things in your daily life, and it's only a benefit to know why and to understand why you do certain things and for what reason. So stay the course, pray, and yeah, just find your alignment and tap into any resource that you have, and start wherever you are. So if you have been slacking and not studying or not doing that assignment, do it right after this.
Thank you, ladies, both. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for making the time, for all the questions that you sent. And thank you to our mentors who, you know, show us every day that it starts with you. Start where you are, pray, you know, take the time to develop yourself. Access to information is everything. Use your networks and take advantage of opportunities like this. Refilwe and Aurelia, thank you so much for making the time. We look forward to seeing everything that you will come up with going forward. We'll be following you on social media and all your different platforms and initiatives. And remember to give back, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, so thank you very much once more. We'll be checking social media to see who actually tagged and entered the competition, and we'll be giving away the prizes sometimes throughout the week. And we'll see you at the next Meet the Mentor event in a fortnight's time. We have a broadcaster, famous DJ, who'll be joining us and telling us what it takes for you to be a DJ and broadcaster. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and happy Women's Day for tomorrow.